Hello, I'm Orestria, a goth girl in Japan, and I watch too much anime. Unsure what to watch from the winter 2025 anime season? Well, I'm here to solve your anime indecision. Appropriately for winter, this was the lukewarmiest anime season. All of my favorite anime this season were pre-existing, leftovers or sequels from a better time. I faced many horrors this season, and I do not mean the genre. So, put on your hazmat suits and let's get through this together. S-rank monster no behemoth dakedo, neko to machigawarete elf musume no pet to shite kurashitemasu. I'm an S-rank behemoth monster, but I'm living as a pet of an elf girl. Our main character is a knight, slain in the course of duty, who finds himself reincarnated as a cat. Well, actually, as his status screen shows, an infant S-rank behemoth that happens to look like a small kitten. The I can't believe it's not isekai tropes flow fast from there. The aforementioned status screen, skills and skill selection, and extra-dimensional storage space, and gaining skills from eating monsters. He barely survives an encounter with a full-grown S-ranker, getting rescued by the elf girl whose butt I've already seen. Because this is an ecchi. Somehow, this is my third ecchi where the main character is an animal, so girls get naked around them. The 15 cents is not worth it. I went into this with such dread, and instead I'm like, with a few small tweaks, I would love this. I won't speak as to whether the ecchi is satisfying or not because I'm too ace to understand what ecchi fans want, but there's relatively little of it if you ignore Arya's outfit and design. Super Cat defending his master from toxic masculinity bro was fun. The animation is good. The pacing seemed fine. Also, I busted up laughing when they actually did a title drop for that monstrosity of a title. But nope, I can't. This is maybe my most upset Just Be Porn ever, but someone's cat fucking fetish got in the way of a really good anime. This anime is only like 10% Just Be Porn, but that section is just... How are there multiple women in your world who are like wood to a cat? Shangri-La Frontier. This is my fourth time talking about Shangri-La Frontier. This anime has a bunch of great gamer girls, most of whom are not into the main guy, who himself doesn't seem to be interested in any of the girls either. Possibly because Pencil Gun is evil. No, Sanraku just wants to play games, and so does everyone else. Okay, except her. We've got scheming girls, helpful girls, girls who just want to pet cute bunnies, girls who are cute bunnies. We've got wicked cool fight scenes pretty much every episode, comedy, and a game anime that takes place in a game that seems like it could exist and would be fun. Hazare skill Kinomi Master, skill no mi, tabetara shinu, wo mugen ni taberareru you ni natta ken ni tsuite. Focus skill Fruit Master. About that time I became able to eat unlimited numbers of skill fruits that kill you. Sometimes you encounter an I can't believe it's not isekai brand anime with logic so poor it's impossible to review. Instead, it's all one can do to roast it. If the generic character designs and just general animation and backgrounds didn't tell me what I was in for, the main characters being named Light and Lena surely would have. Yeah, I've played JRPGs before, thanks. Without a hint of irony, this anime depicts a world where, at some point in your life, you go to the church, eat a bite of skill fruit, and are given a skill, and this determines what you'll be good at in life. It's Futurama. But Futurama knew that shit was dystopian bullshit. Also, this anime gives no indication that the skill you get is based on your aptitudes and not literally random, so it's actually worse than Futurama. No thought has been put into what a world built on this foundation would be like. The nun explains to them that you will die if you eat this fruit again. She explains this rule right before they eat, which literally even 5-year-old children should know this. Their society is based on this. It's fundamental knowledge. Especially since presumably every adult eats some, and they're unregulated, making them the world's most potent secret poison. Later in the episode, we find out that you don't have to be a teen or whatever when you eat them. You can fully be a small child when you get your skill, which begs the question, why aren't they eating them when they're a child? Bad enough this shit determines your life, but you should at least find out as soon as possible so you can get training and not spend your whole life dreaming of something you will never be able to be. So the title makes it obvious that despite all the warnings, our main dude is going to end up eating a second one, right? I'm going to give you a moment to guess how you think that comes about. The orphan child they yada-yada'd over him being forced into adopting made dinner for him, using fruit from the crates full of poison fruit he has in his house that are marked with giant skulls. Again, how does anyone over the age of 5 not know about the skill fruits? How is she so dumb she cooked dinner with fruit from the skull boxes? How does he have like 7,000 of these things without having talked to her about them already? The church only needed like 10 of them the day that he went, so where is he supposed to sell all these? He thinks he's dying of poison and tells her, "It's okay, you didn't do anything wrong." She put the fruit marked death into dinner. That is a wrong thing to do. The little girl also ate the stew, so that's how I learned that children can eat the fruit. She gains an appraise skill. I guess her version is better than the nun's, since hers reveals that the fruit master skill doesn't just mean he grows fruit well, but that he can safely eat more poison fruit, and thus gain more skills. This means someone taught her how to read, but not about skill fruits that are fundamental to their society and are also 100% lethal poison that her literal adoptive dad grows. Let's go back to those 2 giant crates of skill fruit the dude has in his house. He now knows that he can eat these safely and gain skills from them. Yet he doesn't immediately eat all these fruit and become God. I'm disappointed I didn't get to meet this delightfully Delulu looking lady from the poster though. Bad, this is bad. Kizure Saikyo no Rekinjutsu shi, someday I will be the greatest alchemist. A sus empire did a hero summoning, and our main guy wasn't the target, but got accidentally snagged. The cheerful, botan-coated goddess can't send him back, but promises to set him up nice in this world. He doesn't want to be an adventurer, so he gets a production job. There! I just saved you the 5 minutes of exposition that this anime starts with. You're doing this to me without any explanation? Bro, she's been explaining shit for 5 minutes. Isekai tropes are best used as a fast-forward default setting to save time. But frankly, this anime felt really random about when it was going to go into granular detail and when it felt like it was rushing through. This world is extremely gamified. Hit something with a stick, gain a level as an adventurer. Build a spear, gain a level as a blacksmith. And even if you want to enjoy the comfy blacksmithing and alchemy, it's all just bro holding his hands out and magicking things instantly. Main dude's not the sharpest alchemy tool in the lab. He conceals his item box from his status screen, worries about how he's going to put something in his bag, forgets that he has an item box, and then the first time he meets any other person, he immediately shows them his item box. Overall, this is very bland, but fine. The animation and production values were actually higher than the average isekai. I'm angry that he can use alchemy on living things, but I like the pet spider, I guess. Everyone knows you can't tame insects. Well, good thing she's an arachnid then, asshole. I will put this in mediocre for having halfway decent animation. Salaryman ga isekai ni ittara shita no ni natta hanashi. Headhunted to another world, from salaryman to Big Four. The Demon Lord summons a hard-working Japanese businessman to be one of his 4 generals. So what's his superpower? Power. Huh. Good God, yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. The Demon Lord looked at his accomplishments on his CV, looked at how dumb his powerful generals were, and realized he needs a negotiator to keep his army working together smoothly. And this is a job offer. The Mao lists the benefits and says that if he refuses, he will be sent back to Earth, no problem. This Mao is nicer than 90% of isekai goddesses, and despite being a despot, he's a better boss than basically any company under capitalism. The ED really says, you're supposed to watch this because of the Dragon Girl. And can anime in general stop doing this? If you know who your best, most interesting, most appealing character is, make them the main character. Fuck. I honestly love the idea of this, but the negotiation in the first episode was so basic, a 6-year-old could solve it. So I just don't feel like it's being well executed. Getting truck-cunned by a scooter granny is funny, but not worth the 3 minutes of my life you spent showing me that being an office worker sucks. Mediocre. Chikyu no undo ni tsuite. Orb, on the movements of the earth. Continuing on from last season, this anime takes place in a fictionalized history of Poland, where rational-minded folks are realizing that science suggests the impossible. The earth moves around the sun. Unfortunately, their efforts towards scientific pursuits are hindered aggressively by the church. If they are found out, they'll be tortured and killed for their blasphemous research. This anime is a treatise on belief, faith, science, logic, and curiosity. Expect long philosophical discussions, horrible people, horrible deaths. I think this anime has a lot of flaws, but I'm so grateful we have this. I'm glad I watched it. I recommend it, especially if you're tired of isekai and Japanese high schoolers. Suck it, flat earthers. Amiku Takao no Sweetie Karte. Amiku Takao's Detective Karte. Hey, we finally found one! An anime from this season that is watchable. It's House MD, the anime. Amiku Takao is the head of the diagnostic department at the hospital. She's an asshole, she's quirky, she wears flip-flops, and lives in a quaint cottage on the hospital's roof. But she gets away with it all because she's a genius at deducing complicated diagnostics.
Could it be an autoimmune disease? Lupus, maybe?
It's never lupus.
And since this shit is anime, it's practically a magical girl show. Like, she has a Sakuga sequence and a catchphrase when she's ready to solve the mystery. It's not grand cinema, but Orestria-likey. If you're a team desperate for anime that isn't isekai or high school, then you could kick it up to a recommend. Grisaya Phantom Trigger, the animation. Apparently there are like some movies or OVAs with nearly the same name, but don't worry. They start the episode with a tell you everything you need to know about Grisaya in a 120-second lecture. That I came out of knowing just about nothing, honestly. We are at a school for assassins, but also they are already working as assassins. There are teachers, but also the students teach a lot of the classes. Say it with me now. Why are they in school? This is opaque. It's just a collection of scenes. I feel somewhat bad judging it since I'm clearly supposed to have some kind of foreknowledge, but I can't conceive of how it would help. I will give it a benefit of the doubt mediocre and move on with my life. Momentary Lily. One day, alien robot monsters appeared on Earth, disappearing people. Or so I'm told. There's one brief flash of discarded clothes on the ground, and that is the only relevant visual. In this post-apocalypse, with full electricity and water, pristine buildings, and just no cars whatsoever, a girl wanders, lonely, until she hears the sound of people. Other girls, in fact. By the way, if it's a post-apocalypse, why are they all wearing their school uniforms? This group of girls has found a way to fight the monsters, but since all the monsters seem to be literally the same, we're going to be spending most of our episode doing cute girl things, like preparing canned foods. In case you're wondering, why does it look like that? It's because this anime is by the infamous Gohan studio. In their defense, the animation is much better this time, by which I mean I didn't get motion sickness. I mean, sure, we're having a battle over which is worse, the hair physics, or the boob physics, but it's still an improvement. Okay, the boob physics are worse. I'm tempted to say that all these girls are defined by one trait, but actually they're defined by one thing they say over and over. We have Video Game Girl, who refers to everything as a buff or debuff. Big Sister with her wisdom. Guilty Girl, and the main girl, Don 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 Girl. The one girl who doesn't have a catchphrase gets a personality transplant with each subsequent scene. First, she was shy social anxiety girl, and then she takes over the anime to be a TV cooking show announcer. Then she starts crying about making everybody eat food, even though they were complimenting her food, and even though she herself apologized earlier for interrupting them as they were about to start eating. So this is bad, but in a different way than previous Gohans were. Keep it up, Gohans. I think I'll be able to finish an episode of one of your anime eventually. P.S. If you want to watch sexualized schoolgirls with named weapons fighting people erasing monsters, check out Symphogear. It's great. It's a terrible sales pitch for Symphogear. Class no daikirai na joshi to kekkon suru koto ni. I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. First things first, English title. What are you doing? I got married to the girl I hate in my class. Come on. Our main character is a smart aleck, sarcastic high school boy. His grandpa is rich and powerful, having single-handedly rebuilt a floundering company into a high-tech giant. Grandpa basically says, if you want me to give you the company, you have to marry this girl, 'cause I said so. The girl in question is his least favorite girl in school. Like, all they do is scream at each other. Her grandma is main dude's grandpa's lover. We are not privy to whatever grandma threatened her with, but she's also forced into marrying the main dude. I thought they might at least come up with some clever reason why they had to get married, but they didn't even try. Grandma and grandpa used to hate each other in high school, but now they love each other, and I guess they regret that wasted time with their first spouses. So since their grandchildren hate each other, they're forcing them to marry so they can like each other. Can the they fight because they actually love each other trope just go die in a fire, please? Let's compare this to Ranma half for a moment. Both anime involve young people being forced to get engaged. Ranma spends no time justifying it. It's just a plot contrivance, let's move on. This episode spends a bunch of time, will they or won't they get married, even though it's the title, it's the plot. Ranma and Akane fight, but they also have a lot of chilled down time together. When they fight, you see them gradually upsetting each other and it ramps up. They have specific triggers, and they even intentionally piss each other off sometimes. This is just two characters screaming at each other all the time. There's also this egregious cousin girl who's presented like an adorable little girl, but she's in the same class as them and sits on his lap. I'm not exaggerating. This comment is not for comedic effect. I watched this anime first thing in the morning, and it gave me a headache. To be kind, the presentation was quite good, so I will put it in good for thee, not for me, but I feel like you could do better. Sodari no Utility TV. Sky Blue Utility. Our main character is a recovering gacha addict. Well, she's still kind of gamer-pilled, borderline chuny, wanting to find the way that she can be the main character. She tries out a bunch of different clubs at school, leading to a lovely montage of her sucking. Girl gamifies everything, trying things in the hope that it will unlock a skill for her. If there are any youths watching this, you're supposed to suck when you first start something. That's normal. The question is if you like it or not. If you like it, keep doing it, and you'll get better. Maybe not the best, but being good is not the goal of a hobby. So if you still suck, who cares? She finds a local driving range on her way home, and a cute girl there helps her with putting, giving us lesbonic vibes. This is really cute. Very pleasant. I kind of like that we have a wholesome trio of older dudes. It's kind of funny. It's Yuri if you squint hard enough. I just do not care because I hate golf. Good for thee, not for me. Okinawa de suki ni natta ko ga hoken sugite tsurag sugiru. Fell in love with an Okinawan girl, but I just wish I knew what she was saying. Our next actually watchable anime from this season, and it's basically edutainment. Teru moves from mainland Japan to Okinawa and discovers that in many ways, it's like being in a whole different country. Through his fish out of water eyes, we learn about Okinawan culture and the Okinawan Japanese accent. See, the girl Teru likes isn't very good at mainland Japanese accent, to the point where she's borderline incomprehensible to him. Thankfully, Best Girl is there to translate for him and have a crush on him. I had trouble getting into this at first. The scenes were funny, but a bit too choppy. They felt a little disconnected. But as I watched more, we started to get longer scenes, longer bits, more through plot lines, and a lot more characterization into the main kids. And their friends and family, too. You feel your understanding of Okinawa and the characters within open up just as Teru does. That said, I'm 100% convinced this is a tourism anime. Why else release it in winter? Sitting here under my kotatsu looking at everybody in tank tops by the beach? Like, goddamn. Orestria likey. Medalist. Inori has been in love with figure skating since a young age, but her older sister gave up on skating, making her mom hesitant to let Inori try, especially since her personality can be very shy and delicate. I had a lot of problems with the first episode, but they were very much my problems. Like, you're not supposed to come out of the episode liking Inori's mom, but I think you're not meant to hate her with the furious passion of an educator who has seen parents and kids like this. I also thought I liked the coach until he got so hard up on the idea that child needs to pay to enter the skate rink. Like, if you see someone shoplifting, no you didn't. So it is an absolute mark of quality that I felt compelled to give the second episode a try despite my reservations. And this anime is good. All the sports drama you could want, the children feel like children, and it's realistic given the topic that our characters are so young. I, personally, would rather rewatch Yuri on Ice, but that's because it's more to my taste. Good for thee, not for me. Neat kunoichi to nazeka dousei hajimemashita. Somehow I started living with a neat otaku kunoichi. And somehow I ended up liking this ecchi anime. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Land Maiden Dude discovers he's actually in the bloodline of some powerful samurai, which sounds kind of cool, except since he hasn't unlocked any powers, it mostly just means that demons are probably going to kill him. Cue the titular Neat Kunoichi, a ninja woman who can defeat the demons despite being someone who would rather stay at home playing video games all day instead of training. And so, they come to an agreement. She will crash at his house, live her best potato life, he will work and provide for her, and in exchange she will save his life when demons inevitably attack. This anime has actual jokes, which goes a long way to making me forgive its ecchi. And also, a lot of the ecchi appears to just be the fact that kunoichi outfits are tight. Most of the time I didn't even notice it was being ecchi. Another reason I kind of like this is, and I get that this is a stretch, it kind of reads as aspec to me. Like, the main guy doesn't seem interested in her sexually or even romantically. He says he's been saved by having her companionship, valuing a relationship, just having someone to be with and enjoy things together. A platonic relationship? Like, maybe I'm so desperate for representation that I'm dumpster diving, but that scene meant a lot to me. Then the anime hit a point where things started leaning more romantic, and the transphobia finally got too much for me. We'll talk about it in the trans non-binary highlight. So I did eventually stop watching, but I just don't have it in me to completely trash this trash. Good for thee, not for me. Kisaki kyouiku kara nigetai watashi. I want to escape from princess lessons. Our main girl is the daughter of a noble family, with the unfortunate fate that her role in life is to get married to someone. Preferably someone a step up for her family. Preferably someone not a monster. This despite the fact that all she wants to do is roll in the grass, go fishing, maybe raise some animals. Her family is delighted when they score the ultimate catch, the crown prince. Against her will, our main girl gets shuttled off to the castle and forced into princess lessons. I had high hopes for this. Sure, the animation wasn't anything to write home about, and I don't love the character designs, especially the candy colors. But there was visual storytelling. There was so much visual storytelling that it made me aware of how accustomed I am to isekai slop, with main characters telling me every goddamn thought that goes through their mind. We only know what this girl is thinking when she turns directly to the camera and addresses us. And I stand by the first episode being delightful. But the more I watched, the more I realized this anime has an unforgivable plot. See, the title is a lie. After episode 1, there are no more princess lessons anymore. No, she wants to run away from the prince and the forced engagement. This anime is a woman saying no, and the entire world conspiring against her. She has no friends, no allies. She has only captors. She can't escape, and it's labeled romance. Garbage. Zenshu! Our main character is basically a cryptid. She's also an animation goddess, the goat who's going to revolutionize the industry. The only problem is she has massive writer's block. Her next project is supposed to be a film about first love, but she's never been in love. Unless you count her hyperfixation on an unpopular old anime film called A Tale of Perishing. Maybe not my first choice of somewhere to get isekai to, but here we are, at the end of a fantasy world with only drawing tools to save us. This season's brought me from I can't believe it's not isekai to oh god, I can't believe it's an isekai. And this is anime of the season, if we're limiting that title to new anime at least. Mappa original animation is kind of a cheat code for doing well though. At first I felt like this was a fun romp that was maybe spinning its wheels a bit, just an animation showcase. And in this season, that already would have made it one of the best. But it starts leaning into its themes more and nails the landing in a way I really didn't expect. Not the anime of the season I wanted, but I can't argue with it. Recommended. Tasokare Hotel. The Tasokare Hotel is a state of purgatory. Guests check in, and the hotel itself tries to prompt them to remember who they are, if they're dead or merely unconscious. Once they've learned the truth, they can check out and return to life, or move on to the next step. The staff is made up of long-term guests who haven't figured themselves out yet. I wanted this to be a bit more horror, since it gives me like indie RPG Maker horror game vibes, but it's more of a mystery and character drama situation. We follow Neko-chan, a new guest and new staff member, as she learns about the hotel, guides new guests, helping them solve their pasts. Also, she's low-key a lesbian. Like, the anime doesn't say she's sapphic, but...
Oh no, she's cute.
Ultimately, I found this really uneven. At first, I thought it would be mostly chill. Like, yeah, we're finding out people's deep, dark secrets, but it has this detachment because it's memories. Then, an exciting ingredient was added to the formula. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then that ingredient was used really randomly. I could see how some people might like that some episodes are chill little character stories and some are buck wild, but the hints at progression with no actual progression just made me resent the simple times. Basically, the mix wasn't working for me, but it could for thee. Mahotsukai no Yakusoku, the promise of magicians. Our main character gets isekai'd and is immediately caught between two rival crews of exposition dumpers, then goes with the group that's consisted of pretty boys. Which, same girl. Apparently she's the great saint, and magicians will only listen to her. The magicians all go to great pains to tell us which country they're from, but I fail to see how it matters since they're all working together in the same place. If it sounds like I'm glossing things over, it's because this was almost entirely people just saying stuff, and it made my eyes glaze over. See this?
お会いできて光栄です。愛しい賢者様。これから賢者様を少しばかり厄介なことに巻き込むかもしれません。さて、厄介ごとにはいろいろあります。色恋沙汰、名誉に戦争。
This was the 30 seconds where I thought this might be an interesting anime. This mess is adapted from a gacha game and it feels like it. It feels like a committee designed this to pander to women. It also feels like the main girl character has never had a thought in her brain. She witnesses several acts of magic, then suddenly goes, "Are you a wizard?" Like, bitch! This is an insulting level of pandering. Mal lists 10 main characters, none of whom are the main girl. Like, come on, this is beyond bad. This is unwatchable. Kono kaisha ni suki ni hito ga imasu. I have a crush at work. This is a cute little office romance where even though they work in different departments, they have decided to keep their relationship a secret to dodge a bunch of annoying shit like prying coworkers and gossip. Romance about adults. Romance about adults. They won't give us animation quality for something like this, but I don't care. The English title here is fucking shit though. I have a crush at work. They are already dating. They're dating from before the anime starts. No, will they or won't they? They are, and they fuck. Okay, like, not in a titillating way, but they're adults, so they do stuff, you know? So often anime exists on this virginal, oh my god, our hands touch, indirect kiss, to ecchi bullshit scale with nothing in the middle. Well, this is firmly in the middle. Some classy fade to black. Honestly, this anime has scenes that are sexier than almost every ecchi I've ever watched, despite her lingerie being more covering than some people's isekai adventuring outfits. Most of this anime is about the simple things in life. A little tension in the relationship from the secret, a little tension at work from the secret, a fun B couple, some sweet dates, I like that their lives aren't entirely about the romance situation, and we're not reliant on misunderstanding plot lines. Orestria likey. Kuroi wa medaka ni watashi no kawaii ga tsujinai. My charms are wasted on Kuroi Medaka. Kawaii might be the cutest girl in the world. Everywhere she goes, everybody, man, woman, child, is drawn to her. She literally sparkles, and she relishes in this attention, considering herself the queen bee and doing her best to be kind to people so she can really soak up the attention from everyone. But there's this one guy in class who seems immune to her charms. She immediately becomes obsessed with getting his attention to the point of flashing him. She is cute, the animation is serviceable, the timing's fine, the execution is doing what it needs to do. I just hate it anyway. In a different world than the one we live in, there's nothing wrong with this. This is a world with MRAs and the seduction community who think you need to nag women or whatever. Never let them know you like them, and then you'll have their attention, and that is all I can see, all I can think about when I'm watching this. So, I'm gonna put it in good for thee, not for me, and hope I never think about it again. Oh my god, this is such a paragraph. Botsuraku yote no kizoku dakedo, hima datta kara maho o kiwamete mita. I'm a noble about to be ruined, but reached the summit of magic because I had a lot of free time. Our main guy gets isekai'd and finds himself in the body of an unimportant noble's son. He doesn't have any knowledge of his life so far, so we're treated to a bunch of, as you know, I'm your big brother and you're 12 years old style exposition. Our main dude turns out to be super good at magic, and we watch him doing magic a bunch. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say. This is indescribably bland. This is the blank outline of how to write an isekai with none of the details filled in. The only woman character in episode 1 is a maid. Mediocre is a kindness, but it was at least serviceably animated and paced, I guess. Hana wa saku shura no gotoku. Our main girl is mostly a shy thing, but she once had her breath taken away by witnessing an oral recitation. So inspired, she takes up recitation, performing for children on her small island. Like so small, she has to take a ferry to go to her new high school. Then, as happens in any good media, our introvert is adopted by an extrovert, and thus she joins the broadcast club, a club that hosts the school radio and performs in national competitions for recitation and announcing, and video dramas? Right off the bat, I have to say, this looks gorgeous. My notes were gushing over insane things like seagulls and boats because they drew them. They made the arts. It's not quick CG to get it done, and I love it so much. And because the art is lovely, it makes it an effective way to add to the emotional depth of the recitation scenes. I do feel like I was lured in to watch this. Baited, perhaps. Like they put a promise of Yuri vibes on a hook. Now, I never thought for a moment it was gonna be GL. But you give me the Sailor Uranus looking girl standing in a bathtub with the main girl, and like, what am I supposed to think? I feel like watching this anime is like taking my vitamins. It's good. It's good for me. I enjoy watching it when I'm watching it, but I don't want to. I see there's a new episode and I feel no impulse to watch it. My best guess is there's some fundamental level where this anime just doesn't connect with me. Some combination of me being twice the age of the characters and not being a very competitive person. I don't see art as competitive. I was in the drama club at school, and I couldn't care less if we did well in competitions, or even if we were competing at all, which we weren't most of the time. I think this anime is great, and I don't want to watch it. So, tippy top of good for thee, not for me. Magic Maker. Isekai Maho no Tsukurikata. Magic Maker. How to create magic in another world. Our main guy has been obsessed with magic all his life, but unfortunately here on Earth, we don't have magic. He's naturally delighted to find himself isekai'd, where he has a loving family, but when he brings up magic to his father, Dad is like, what's that? What irony! But lo, through some scientific investigation, he's able to determine that there are some phenomena that aren't explained by any common sense he knows, and intriguingly, are only detectable to some people. Could it be magically gifted people? He sets out to try to develop them, and maybe become the one to make magic. God, that sounds amazing, doesn't it? Absolutely it does. I was really excited until the anime suggests that the source of his magic is tied to his love for his sister. Why is anime like this? Look, there's real quality here. I don't think it's actually trying to be sus, but like, I'm getting to the point where an anime having children characters is just automatically sus. Good for thee, not for me. Honey Lemon Soda. Welcome to Komi Can't Communicate. But it's serious, dramatic, and the awkward girl isn't an ethereally gorgeous human being. Our main girl is a shy thing. She had the opportunity to get away from her bullies by going to a smart high school, but then the cute guy tells her she'd look better in the uniform at the regular school, and also he's going there, so she goes. Yes, girl! Ruin your future for some guy! Luckily, this is anime, so it actually works out decently for her. For reasons that this anime is not going to tell us about for so long that it can't possibly be satisfying. He is willing to help her change the parts of herself she doesn't like. He won't baby her though. She has to stand up for herself and say what she wants, and then he will help her achieve it. I don't know, I guess he's a genie. You rub his beloved honey lemon soda, and he helps you make friends. Yes, this anime is named for the Dreamboat guy's favorite drink. Also, their school name is basically honey in Japanese.
Just noticed her sadness cafe is named after honey in French, too.
My experience of watching this was an untenable combination of enjoying it and hating it. It was slow enough that my brain is just nitpicking everything and how awkward and sussy it is. So it didn't make the cut for me. It might be good for thee. Fugoshoku Tanteishi ga Kitsu wa saikyo datta. Naraku de kitaeta seikyo no shingan de muso suru. Even given the worthless appraiser class, I'm actually the strongest. We're in a fantasy world where everyone has a job assigned to them at birth, but at least this anime recognizes that that's a setup for misery. Our main dude is stuck with a weak job of appraiser. Since this is an I can't believe is not isekai, his adventuring party has no appreciation for any non-combat roles, and since we're flirting with what I can only describe as an edgelord light tone, his party are assholes that leave him to die. Man, I wish all edgelord light stuff was about graphic violence and people being assholes and not constant sexual assaults or threats thereof that are the part of so many of these properties. This anime has a cute side, which was refreshing. If you're used to watching anime characters get chopped up, then this anime is actually kind of lighthearted. But I lost interest due to the pacing. If your main character is going to be OP almost immediately, I'd actually rather we just get there quicker. So watching a training arc that's basically just a sequence of, but wait, there's more, is not really my jam. I did find this on the easily watchable side, despite having a lot of aspects that irked me. So I will also put this in good for thee, not for me. Akuyaku Reijo Tensei Oshi-san. The old man reincarnated as a villainess. Our main character is an older business worker rocking an insane comb-over. He's an otaku, his wife is an otaku, and they are incredibly proud of their tomboyish otaku daughter. Truly a great life. Until he gets isekai'd. And not into just any world, but specifically the world of the otome game his daughter has been playing recently. And he finds himself in the body of the villainess. He's vaguely aware of this story, but doesn't have the kind of obsessive detail that we usually get in the isekai into an otome game protagonist. Sometimes he's just relying on being genre savvy. He messes up the villainous part of the story so much that every character loves him, which I have no problem with. Baccarina. But it feels extra weird when he's so clearly an old man. The harem doesn't weird me out too much though, because while it's obvious everyone's affection scores keep ratcheting up, he is understandably disinterested. In fact, he's usually in dad mode, so he's more likely to treat the other characters like his kids than anything else. Thank God. Watching this anime brings to mind an important question. Is this the worst hair in anime? This is kind of basic, animation-wise and plot-wise, but with some fun twists and some stuff that makes it great to make fun of your friends. So, yeah. Orestria likey. It was cowardly to not show him dealing with his period, though. Dose koshite shimaunda. Anyway, I'm falling in love with you. Somebody put a girl into free. A woman reflects back on her high school life, suddenly realizing that what she had perceived at the time as a regular high school life was actually, a lot like a shoujo manga premise. She's got these 4 childhood friends who happen to have blossomed into gorgeous ikemen, although since she's always known them, she doesn't gush over them like other girls. She's not like other girls. But the boys? They have noticed her. Also, part of the plot is that COVID is happening, so their high school plans are restricted, but they won't say COVID and people aren't masking, so it's just kind of weird. Is it just me, or are these guys pretty samey. Like, if I was reading this in manga with no color, I would have no hope of telling them apart. I do think they look good. It was awkward in the second episode where I thought they were introducing a new guy, and I yelled, "You have enough guys!" before realizing it was actually one of the original 4, and I just don't know anything about the guys except for this one. I found this to be an unwatchable combination of dull and overwrought. The framing of the main character looking back on her high school had potential, but it also has certain implications for any coupling which may or may not occur. But the biggest condemnation for a shoujo romance is, it didn't give me any doki doki. I'm tempted to put it in mid, but goddammit, shoujo solidarity. So good for thee, not for me. Somebody let me know if that framing device actually goes somewhere. Nihon e yokoso, Elf-san. Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. Our main guy seems like a normal dude, but he has a secret. He works hard to get off work on time so he can go home and get a good night's sleep. To be fair, he has more motivation than the rest of us because his life is a sleep sekai. When he goes to sleep, his consciousness goes to another world, a fantasy world. He wakes up perfectly rested back in Japan, even if he's killed. So dude can really just chillax. Yeah, he has skills and a job and learned beast language and made friends with this nice elf lady. Thankfully, all before the first episode started. Actually, he always just assumed that this was like the world's coolest lucid dream, despite the evidence that he can pack a lunch and bring it with him. Until one day he dies, clutching onto his elf friend, and then he wakes up back in Japan and he's not alone anymore. So here's my thing. I love when they're in Japan. The elf doesn't speak Japanese, so she gets treated as a foreigner. It's cute and sweet. I mean, main dude has no fucking fashion sense, so we have to watch her in this outfit, but whatever. But they spend around half the time in the isekai world. They don't really have anything new or interesting to present to us in the isekai world. He's OP, the presentation's mediocre, which, like, fine, but we were getting original content in Japan. So the presentation is just not enough to help the bland isekai stuff pull its weight. Mediocre isekai stuff plus Orestria-likey Japanese stuff averages out to good for thee, not for me. Simple math. For Magia. Oh, Orestria. You say you want fantasy anime. Original stuff, not isekai, no stat screens. Lots of women characters. Careful what you wish for, cause you just might get it. Is it better to have no ideas, or 1,000 ideas that you have no idea how to implement? Because watching episode 1 of Farmagia felt like watching the first arc of like 3 different animes simultaneously, and I'm gonna break it down now, so get ready. In corner 1, we have a childish anime that feels like someone mixed Pokemon and Fairy Tail in a blender, which makes sense because the character designs are by Mashima Hiro from Fairy Tail, which I have to let you know so you don't feel like you're going insane the way I did when I was first watching. We live in an honestly cool world where people grow monsters from seeds, and the monsters are used in regular life. We don't have street lamps, we have monsters. We don't have ovens, we have monsters. The second anime in the mix is just the worst gag nonsense. We have one-note characters whose gags I'm already over after 1 episode. This girl eats grass and strange plants. This guy wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. Also, he's scared of dogs. For a while, I thought that this was what the show was, which would have been fine, but not for me. Goofy characters mugging and yelling at each other constantly. It felt very kiddie-coded, honestly. Then all of a sudden, Anime 3 charges in. The Grand Magus in charge of the world dies, and one of the sub-guys says, I'm the main guy now, and also I'm genociding. And I mean, like, within 15 minutes of the previous dude dying. We've gone from farming sim to, like, the village and farm and orphanage all getting wrecked. And they are still doing the gags. Like, the orphanage is on fire, but we have time to be like, oh no, I'm scared of dogs. Editing. Tone down on the childish gags if you're going with the genocide plot. Or slow the pace. Let us live with the comfy tones for a while before pulling the rug out. Or just let the serious moments be serious and have their own space separate from the silly moments. This is a confusing mess. It has potential, it has good ideas. I don't think it's worth the watch. Unless you're roasting it with friends. This is bad. Dr. Stone Science Future. Suck it, flat earthers. I've talked about it like 3 times before. Recommend. Guild no uketsuke jo desu ga zangyo wa iya no node, boss wo solo tobatsu shiyou to omoimasu. I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. Alina is a guild receptionist. She sought out this job because she gets job security, benefits, and isn't putting her life on the line like dumb old adventurers. Also, it must needs be remarked, they have cute uniforms. The girl has her priorities right, but there's something fucking up her work-life balance. Overtime. Luckily, she actually has an overpowered skill, a god-tier level dimensional hammer. So if the adventurers are making too much paperwork by taking forever to clear a dungeon, she goes and settles that shit by herself. Going in, I was worried that it was basically just be this one gag over and over, and I'm pleased to report that it is not. It does have a terminal case of light novel pacing. Without being familiar with the source material, I can already tell you that every 4 episodes is one book. But what really saves it is that I honestly genuinely like these characters. They're multifaceted, they're all able to function in the comedic moments and the serious moments. Also, there's an Arrow Ace reading for Alina. She explicitly does not see romance as a priority. I'm sure this shit is gonna end in romance eventually, but it'll take a while to get there. Orestria Likey. Blatt. After a very strong cold open that I think I'd rather not ruin the effect of, we find ourselves in a port town, run entirely and cruelly by some warrior monks. You need to be judged by them, which is code for bribing them, if you want to leave and go to the other side, the land where the 7 heroes live. Based on how badly people want to make that crossing, and the brisk business of smugglers, it must be a much better place than this. We join some vagrants trying to make their way to the other side. They end up working together to survive. Something about the first episode was bothering me. I looked into the manga and it seems like there might be some adaptation issues here. And it's not great when I can tell that stuff has been skipped despite not being familiar with the story. It also seems that content has been censored for this adaptation. At some point, if you're messing with the story and the sexual content and the gore, what are you left with? The fights aren't animated well enough to be worth it. Honestly, sexual content is the main reason I don't engage more with dark fantasy stories. Like, I get that such tales are a genre where it makes sense to have some sexual assault scenarios, but I've just encountered such scenes being glamorized too often. I'm still thinking about reading this manga. Like, I saw glimmers of appeal through the anime adaptation, but then I saw a comment that there's a running gag about this child being forced into revealing clothing, which, like, why is that the one sexual content they felt like keeping in the adaptation? Still low-key mad at this for changing posters after I said it had the best poster of the season too. Putting this in mediocre and advising that you go for the manga instead if you're interested. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2. Nene is just a normal high school girl, dreaming of romance and definitely not obsessing over her daikon-shaped ankles. After hearing a rumor about Hanako of the toilet who can grant wishes, she discovers a supernatural side to her school. All those rumors about the 7 wonders of the school just might be true. With a delightful cast of characters and an unmistakable, cutely gothic aesthetic, this is a returning favorite of mine. Absolute recommend, unless you're completely allergic to high school romance. Baban Vampire. Our main character is a vampire living at a sento, a kind of cheap neighborhood bathhouse. He's like an honorary member of the family owning the place, though they might not be so welcoming if they realize his goal is to kill and eat their son when he turns 18. The rub? Oh, that's a bad choice of words for a raunchy comedy. The catch? He thinks virgin blood tastes best. So he's living there to defend the boy's chastity, all while giving off serious Hisoka vibes. It's literally the same voice actor. I could spend all day vacillating back and forth about this. If you're a guy who doesn't get why girls complain about fan service, check this anime out, because this is the most naked, muscly man I've seen in anime in a while. But the vampire is also, like, fitting into this predatory gay stereotype, but also not. He doesn't want to fuck the boy, he wants to drain his blood. He's literally a non-human predator.
I'm the world's most dangerous predator.
Now, I have seen this tagged as BL, which I would disagree with. Not every romantic comedy is shoujo, not every anime with a gay main character is BL. This has more in common with Golden Boy than with my fine collection of BL trash. Now, I'm down to support gay wrongs. So ultimately, my decision on whether I was into this had to come down to, is it funny? I felt like episode 1 really had the jokes. Episode 2 decided a sexual assault cliffhanger against the main girl was a fine way to end an episode of their comedy anime, so this is not for me. It might be good for thee. A-rank party o riratsu shita, ore wa motto oshie gotachi to meikyu shinbu o mezasu. I left my A-rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. Another anime season, another high-ranked party who doesn't recognize that having a good support is a useful thing. Like, to the point where they shaft him of pay, even though they rely a lot on the potions and scrolls that he buys. Our main guy, a red mage, does show more spine than some main characters by actually quitting. He ends up joining a party made up of his previous students, all of whom are young, beautiful women who fawn over him, of course. Okay, my summary has been particularly rude this time around, because this is actually quite watchable. It's incredibly fine. I watched a bit more of this than I usually would because it did have interesting fantasy tech where they had like digital billboards and live streams. The guild watches all of the live streams, so if you run into some freak situation where there's a monster that's way too powerful around, the guild will know instantly and be able to organize a rescue party, and that was neat world building. Ultimately, this is killed by the main guy just being too perfect and overpowered, and the girls being too bland. There's just no interesting character dynamics in our entire group, and no tension because you know they're gonna win. Mediocre. Watashi no shiawase na kekkon, Season 2. My happy marriage. Mio's life is something of a Cinderella story. After the passing of her loving mother, her stepmother poisons her father's mind, and the whole family treats her as nothing more than a servant. She does end up with a prime arranged marriage to Kyoka, a high-ranking military officer, from a good family, with powerful magic. Also, he's fine as hell. He's been famously cold to all his potential fiancés, but these two hit it off and try to work through her trauma together, while also dealing with political and fantastical issues. Another returning favorite, another recommendation. These returning anime were saving my hide this season, I tell you. Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto was the hitman of all hitmen. Till he fell in love, settled down, had a daughter, and opened a convenience store. Unfortunately, hitman isn't a job one simply retires from, and his wife doesn't approve of killing, so he has to defend himself non-lethally. This anime is perfectly good. As a Shonen Jump property, it's pretty much guaranteed to be better quality than like half the anime that comes out in a season. But for me, that's kind of the level it stayed at though. This is nowhere near a Dandadan level adaptation, and I am aware that that's a wildly unfair expectation. You will have fun with this. You might not get a lot of surprises. The action scenes are creative, but somewhat let down by the animation. I was watching thinking it was cool, but I wasn't gripped. How about the comedy then? Well, comedy is subjective. Cross that off your Orestria bingo card. For me, I don't think I ever laughed. It was more of an amusement level, with a side effect of lessening the tension in the fight scenes, because you know it's going to be fine. Good for thee, not for me. Categories overflowing this season. Kusuriya to Hitorigoto. Apothecary Diaries. Mao Mao, the daughter of a doctor who has a close history working with brothels, manages to get kidnapped into the rear palace to work as a servant girl. She quickly proves herself invaluable due to her knowledge of medicine, her deductive reasoning skills, and virtual immunity to poison. Because of how much poison she's ingested. Romance? No. Poison? Yes. A mystery romance anime in historical China with an asexual icon as a main character? Sign me the fuck up. I'm a spoiler-phobic weirdo, so I only just watched the OP, and it reminded me exactly how much this anime is about women. Like, sure, the people in the highest positions, like the Emperor and Jinishi, are men, but everyone else, often the most effective people, are women. And that's not usually what we get in historical shows. If you count second seasons in your anime of the season running, hands down, this is it. In its first season, it had the misfortune of airing against Freeren, and while it lost that battle, it's still better than 99% of anime. No shame in losing to the #1 anime on Mal. Highly recommend. Sentai Red Isekai de Bokensha ni naru. The Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. We join a classical Sentai group as they have their final battle with their big bad. They talk about the importance of their bonds, and the Red Ranger goes to fight the boss. What of your bonds now? You are alone, Red Ranger. I'm never alone. He defeats the boss and falls to another world. We immediately time skip, which I think is mostly a good idea because they're taking advantage of the fact that we know what an isekai is to skip over learning about adventuring. But in this case, there is a flaw, though. Let's put a pin in that. He meets a magic researcher who is thoroughly freaked out by his ranger powers since they don't register as magic to her. She ends up adventuring with him so she can learn more about his mysterious powers. So, this lady is the first person he's become close with in 6 months. This guy, who specifically values bonds between peoples and draws his powers from them? Let's have some rapid-fire complaints. Leg Avenue Witch Costume Lady calls his outfit ridiculous, but what do you want to bet that most women in this world dress nothing like her? I assumed that the robot looked kind of bad as a compromise because it was only going to be in the cold open, but no, that's just what it looks like. Okay. Your mileage may vary, but the constant flood of attack names and catchphrases, like, in a Sentai world, we would have gradually collected these so they would mean something, but in this situation, they just mean nothing, and it just feels like a deluge of stuff. I absolutely think it's possible to have some goofy fun here. I personally found it exhausting, though, so good for thee, not for me. Arafo Otoko no Isekai Tsuhan Seikatsu. The daily life of a middle-aged online shopper in another world. A 38-year-old Japanese man finds himself isekai'd. He doesn't know how or why. On a hunch, he checks his status screen. He has two abilities, Item Box, which seems not to be wildly uncommon in this world, and Shangri-La.
Shangri-La Frontier de aru.
I wish. No. Shangri-La is basically Amazon. Some experimentation lets him realize that he can convert items, like a sword, into yen, and then buy things from the store. So far, so generic, right? This is my 4th or 5th isekai where the ability to sell modern-day Japanese things is a feature. Everything was pretty pleasant in a bland way. I spent most of the episode bored. I spent most of the episode bored after the utterly befuddling cold open. I thought he died from overwork and was living his isekai farm life. So then it was befuddling when he was suddenly in the forest. So then I thought, okay, the farm life thing was one of those shows where they like show you how well they're doing and then bring you back to the beginning. And then the dude keeps pulling out abilities, but like not, I don't even mean isekai abilities, regular life abilities. He draws the nice tavern lady like one of his French girls and casually builds a shop stall. You know it's bad when I'm confused enough to go do research. I read the start of the manga, and I learned a lot. He was an overworked artist, and after having an episode at work, he left Tokyo and started living on the farm, still doing illustrations on the side. I also learned that my like one of your French girls joke was dead on, because she does indeed strip, and they have sex, not graphically. I suffer through so much terrible ecchi, and they censor the adults having consensual sex. Welcome back to more rapid fire complaints. I want to say the animation is bad, but we did actually get a horse-drawn carriage in an isekai, so that's worth celebrating. I talked about this in my poster video, but I hate these catgirl designs, where they just have human faces for no reason that are a totally different color than the rest of their skin/fur. I hate it even more knowing that this is what the men of the species look like. And finally, you wasted Suwabe on this garbage? My favorite voice actor is the lead character. He's like never the lead character. He's the lead character, and it's this garbage show where I can't even enjoy it. Honestly, the manga seemed fine. I didn't read much because I was mostly just researching, but it was far more pleasant than the adaptation. The adaptation is bad. For the exact same premise but done better, watch Campfire Cooking in Another World instead. ReZero. I can't wait for ReZero to be finished as a series so I can go rewatch the whole thing. I know I'm missing a ton of nuance because with years between arcs I don't remember the characters as well as I should. You want some good isekai with a bunch of psychological horror? Then you have probably already been watching ReZero. But if not, yes, I definitely recommend it. 8 shows I recommend, and only one of them is actually new from this season.
Good. Now it's time for the trans non-binary highlight.
I'm gonna go through our returnees first before Francois from Dr. Stone. Risky's attendant, the anime steadfastly does not gender Francois to the point of never having them nude in an anime where we've seen basically everybody else nude, often multiple times. Felix from ReZero. I'm not getting into arguments on their identity, but they surely are some form of gender non-conforming. Someone in the anime, I heard them call them Oni-ne-san, like a combination of Big Brother, Big Sister, and I liked that. Okay, can't put it off any longer. Ayame from the Neat Kunoichi anime. This anime tries to act like Ayame is not a woman, but she developed a jutsu to gender change herself that is a constant drain on her powers, but she runs it 24/7 anyways. That's a woman. The anime keeps flip-flopping between being horrifically transphobic or not, usually referring to her as a girl, keeping her with the other girls in the changing room, but then dead naming her and treating her as a guy when they think it makes a joke funnier. Also, her character description is psycho lesbian. That's not a localization either. That's literally what it says in Japanese. Psycho lesu. She gets off on being hurt, physically and mentally, and is maybe a little bit yandere too. I was going to praise the inevitable onsen episode because she was with the other girls, even though that necessitated them all being in swimsuits, which is a little weird for an ecchi and is also not allowed at any onsen I've ever been to. But then they got attacked by a monster whose ink destroys women's clothes. I have a migraine. I can connect the dots. There is no reason to say this if not to make a transphobic joke. It's a Chekhov's gun of a line. So I stopped watching there. But then I was editing this, and you want to put in footage that is evidence for what you're saying. Scrubbing through the scene, I realized that the monster never hit Ayame or the boys with the attack that removes clothes. Which means that that line is actually there for no reason? Maybe the manga was more transphobic and they tuned it down for the anime, I don't know. But I guess I need to apologize to this octopus. You are only allegedly, but not confirmed to be transphobic. My bad. For a palate cleanser, let's talk about Justice, my favorite character from Zenshu. I mean, just look at them. They're so fucking cool. I'm not a furry or a scaly, but for Justice? As far as I can tell, the anime has made no reference to their gender one way or the other, and I love them for that. Best boy nominees are Kainzel from Yubel Black. I like his design. I like his design enough that it was a major factor in me looking into the manga after watching the first episode. And in the process, I found a bunch of people complaining about his design because I guess they want all dark fantasy heroes to look like Guts, which just made me like Kainzel more. Give me a battle twink any day. If he's making dude bros mad, that is a plus. You know how a lot of villains are queer-coded? Like harking back to the Hays Code? Behold Stanley from Dr. Stone. I love this asshole. Just look at his design. He's so gender. I just can't stop looking at him. It's extremely shallow, but like, sorry, not sorry. I spent half of each episode just screen capping everything he did. So slick, so cool. You know you're cunt when the US military looks at your purple lipstick and long hair, shrugs, and says, we'll allow it. But my best boy is Mitsuba from Hanako-kun. What a little jerk. I love him. In an anime full of characters I like, he's my favorite. He's bitchy, but we've seen a lot about his past, so we really understand why he puts up this front. We had an entire arc of the anime about him, so he's just incredibly sympathetic. Also, I ship them. The best girl nominees are Alina from Uketsukejo. What can I say? I love a petty queen. I too am focused on work-life balance, and am most excited to go home, eat some cake, and go to sleep. Hirose Natsuko from Zenshu. She's such a gremlin. Being a cryptid like her is honestly like life goals. And what creative can't emphasize with writer's block? The pressure to make something better than what you've made before. I can't be the only nerd who has certain pieces of media I obsess over. Even pieces of media that others might consider bad. Zenshu is very much about Natsuko, her strengths, and particularly her flaws. And that makes her an enjoyable character. Alas, I'm now left with a showdown between two previous Best Girl winners. I'm so sorry, Pencil Gone. I have snubbed her 2 seasons in a row, and I'm genuinely worried she's gonna murder me in my sleep. I love Pencil Gone. I really do. She just hasn't been a major part of this season of Shangri-La. Versus my best girl, who is the main character of her anime, so like, please don't murder me, Miss Pencil Gone. I'm fervently hoping for an arc where you are a major player again. But my best girl could only be Mao Mao. She feels different than others around her. Not interested in romance, fashion, any of these things. She's excited instead by things like poisons and rare medicine ingredients. She's well aware of social graces, but chooses when she follows them or not. She doesn't want to lose her head, after all. Hilariously, for a woman who turns into a cat constantly and whose name is made up of the Hanzi for cat, she doesn't like cats that much. Well, as someone who adores cats, I adore Mao Mao for about the same reasons. That scene is savage. Thank God for all those returning Powerhouse anime giving me something to watch this winter. There aren't nearly as many of those next season, so hopefully spring can bring something exciting to the table. I'm not feeling super enthusiastic after that poster video, though. Well, we'll check it out together next time. Bye-bye. First she was... Who's lispy? I'm lispy.